Megan Cusick, and welcome to another episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars. It takes guts to go against the grain and forge your own trail, whether that's moving out on your own to an unfamiliar place or completely changing career paths. You're sure to face questions from those that love you. As it happens, Destiny Baker, head of training, learning, and development at Mammoth Holdings, is familiar with taking the road less traveled, whether on horseback or in life. After up and moving alone to Kentucky to practice veterinary medicine, Destiny soon took an unexpected turn into the car wash business. But now, she's forging her destiny as the driving force behind Mammoth Holdings' training regimen, in hopes to shape the future of car washing as well. So Destiny, can you tell us how you got started in the industry? Like, what was your journey into car washing?
So if you would have asked me a long time ago if I would have got into car washing, I would have laughed. I would have never imagined that this is where I would be.
I hear that a lot from people in the car wash industry, for sure.
So my background is actually in horses. So I went to college for equine science, and that's what I did when I came out. I discovered that I spent more money than I was making, so it probably just needed to be a hobby instead of a way of life.
Horses sound like they're expensive. So.
Yes. So I just went back into managing. I did it before college. It was something I was good at, and then some classes in college. So I said, okay, let's go back to this. And as I was looking, the car wash manager role was the most money at the time, so it was that easy.
Yeah.
They were outside, so I wasn't stuck inside in an office. So I said, okay, this sounds easy enough. Let's try it. And once I got in, I never left.
Even though Destiny left behind equine science as a career path, she didn't leave horses behind. In fact, she still participates in ranch sorting competitions. And if you don't know what's involved in that, Destiny has a simple point of reference.
The easiest relation's Yellowstone. If you've ever watched Yellowstone, it's very similar, but we work cows is actually what we do. So they take a group of cows and you put like 2 circle pins together. The middle is open. They're numbered 1 through 0. And they yell out a number, and you have 60 seconds to get them out in order. So if you start at 4, you go 4, 5, 6, and circle back around. But they have to go in order, and you have a partner that you work with, and if the wrong cow goes through, you're done.
Okay.
And that's the end of it. But you have 60 seconds, and it's a timed event to be who can get it 10 in the fastest time. So there's a lot of moving parts. Cows are their own predictability, your partner's its own predictability, but that's what ranch sorting is.
Of course, owning horses is an expensive hobby, and Destiny needed a well-paying job to support them. But while the paycheck was the initial draw for her into a car wash management position, money wasn't the reason she decided to stay. For her, car washing was a land of opportunity.
Being that outgoing trait that I have, I don't like to stop at things. I always try to see what's next, what's out there, what can we do, and the car washing world was endless on its opportunities. There were roles that haven't even been made yet that you're seeing coming to the industry that they wouldn't have thought of 8 years ago. So you could see a lot of the gaps and pieces that would come in later. So it was just very interesting for me. And I seen a huge opportunity that I was like, oh, hey, I could go do this.
Right.
So that's what drew me in and made me stay here.
Okay, awesome. And so, tell us a little bit about what you do or what you have done for Finish Line Car Wash Mammoth Holdings. I know there was a transition there where you started with Finish Line and then they were acquired by Mammoth, several years ago.
Yep. So when I started, I was just an assistant manager. I came in just seeing what it was and what I was getting into. Quickly moved into a site manager role. From that site manager role, we actually made an unlimited wash club role. So that's one of those jobs that wasn't there before.
Right.
We navigated it together, said we don't know what this is going to be, but let's figure it out together. So while I did that, I also helped with training at the time. So it was a little bit in part of having kind of a couple hats.
Yeah.
Being a district manager slid in there at one point in time, just of demands and things that happen and people leave. Yeah. Then Mammoth came in. When Mammoth came in, I took all of our training in the Unlimited and did it with all of Mammoth. So that kind of turned into an integrations role, but not really an integrations title because we weren't big enough for that. So it all kind of evolved into one. But now with our size that we are, the one hat I got was training. So I went from about 5 to 1, but that's kind of been my travels through the company.
Okay, yeah, that's an impressive journey just all within one company there. So what is your training management style? How do you make sure that all the various brands within Mammoth Holdings, 140-ish locations, I mean, that's a lot, and you have to keep all of them across the country to the same standard. So how do you do that? What's your training style?
So we started growing and things started cracking a little. So we reassessed and said, hey, what do we want to do to get to 500? That's Mammoth's goal. So we rebuilt some things from the ground. And with it, we didn't get too specific because at that point, equipment's different at some stores. POSs were different at those stores. So you can't get that zeroed in to some of those things. Some things you have to leave at a regional breakdown. But you can zero in on how should everybody function? What should be the process you should follow? How should you be talking to customers? What is a system you should be using? So those are the things that we focused on. Not too general that everyone's like, hey, this is basic. But we narrowed it in tight enough that we tried to stay out of the little details of a specific brand. That way we didn't run into issues.
Okay, awesome. So what's one parallel that you can draw between, ranch sorting or working with horses and then working in the car wash industry?
So every person is different. So when you talk to somebody, they won't take something the same as somebody else. You could have two people in a room, and when you talk to them, they don't understand the same message. Horses are the same. They have their own personalities. So even when you get on one and you know what you want to do, they may not, or they want you to do it different. So the feelings that people have, I swear the horses have the same feelings because they don't take it the same. So that challenge of kind of figuring people out is the same challenge that goes into figuring horses out.
Okay. Do you have any tips for that, for figuring people out?
A lot of it is to listen. So most people get really quick to talk. It's just people are people.
Right.
But if you sit back and listen and observe people, you will learn a lot more than trying to get in and hey, we should do this, or I suggest this. I see that probably a lot. People mean well when they get in and do that, and they're like, here, I'll show you, and we do it this way, rather than if you would just go into a situation and you just say an idea and then see what they do. So just watch. How do they react? What do they suggest? Where do their thoughts go? That's kind of a different way to think about it that I've always just sat back and assessed rather than just jumping in.
Now, what obstacles have you had to overcome in your journey, in car washing?
So being a younger female was probably my biggest one. Candidly speaking, it just is what it is.
Right.
It is a male-dominant industry. So coming into that space, I was one of about 2 females that worked even at Finish Line 8 years ago. Now we are greatly different now.
Right.
Mammoth has been wonderful to promote women leadership and getting more women into the company, but back then you didn't even see that many at the car wash show.
Right.
So that was a bit of a challenge, kind of coming into a space and saying, no, I can do this when people thought you couldn't do this. It made for a lot of resilience. And I think to be a woman coming into the space, if you didn't have resilience, it would be really, really hard. And I think that's why a lot of them didn't stay.
Yeah.
But now I don't face it as much, but that probably was the biggest hurdle for the first couple of years.
What did people think you couldn't do as a woman? What was the barrier there?
So most of it's mechanical. Nobody thinks women want to jump in tunnels and get dirty and have grease and fix stuff, and very much like mechanics. I'm sure women in the automotive being a mechanic, nobody thinks that. It's kind of the same essence, but your car is a tunnel.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks you want to get in there and work on those kinds of things. So that was, I may not have the muscle to pick up a motor, but I could tell somebody where to do it and how to change it and what goes where. But that was the biggest hurdle, I think, on just judging a book by its cover. Well, if you compare them, they wouldn't be able to do this, and that was a little bit of a jump to get over.
Right. But I love that way of thinking, I may not be able to pick it up, but I can tell you how to do it and where to do it. And that's the sort of, I guess, creative thinking or out-of-the-box thinking that you have to employ in those types of situations. So.
I think it's stubborn sometimes. If somebody says I can't do something, I'm like, okay, watch.
There's that
I'll
too.
take creative over stubborn. Your word is much better.
All right, and so what would you say is your favorite part of the job?
So I love the people. I love our team, obviously, and the group of people that I've gotten to work with and know over the years. The old owners we keep inside of Mammoth, they've been great at just being a friend more and a mentor. But outside of even our company, when you go to the industry and you go to a show, everybody's there to help you. So a lot of people don't like to share things, but the car wash doesn't care. If you have an idea, they want to know it, they'll help you. Hey, how can we tweak this? What's another way to improve? That was something that was very different, and the people still end up being my favorite part. So we have opportunities like coming actually in here where we were joking. I met somebody that is a fellow Leadership Worth Following board member and was like, hey, what are you doing? So just having that network of people all over the country has been really fun.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Mammoth Holdings. So what makes the Mammoth Holdings business model different from others in the car wash industry?
Yeah, so Mammoth, when they started, they didn't just buy and take over. Here's your brand, here's your process. Your opinions don't matter.
Right.
So they didn't do that. They kept all of the owners, and that's where it's a little different because they still have opinions. They're still very much involved. They're called the Business Advisory Council now, but the years between them, I don't remember. We've said it before, but I don't remember how many car wash years are and the knowledge is between all those owners. So rather than one person being the flagship leading it all and they're the ones making it, you have a bunch of different vantage points and views and years that fit in there, and they try to collaborate. And collaboration's not easy sometimes when you play that high. There's a lot of, hey, we did this, well, we did this, it worked, and there's pride in a brand, but they all came together and did something that nobody else has done.
That's awesome. And so what does the future of the company look like? I mean, you mentioned getting to 500 locations. What's the timeline on that?
So we don't have a date of a timeline. Our phrase is the road to 500. So that is what, if you find anybody in Mammoth, they know the road to 500 is our goal. So that's kind of where we will run, and then we will pause, readjust, run again. Has been a little bit of our strategy, but we don't have a timeline for it. That's just kind of the end goal.
Okay, awesome. Well, so speaking of the future here, what do you see as your professional legacy? What would you like to leave behind?
So for me, everything that I've worked on in the leadership conferences that I've gone to and talking to people, my biggest goal and legacy is leaving other people with the courage to be their own leaders. People mess up, people don't like to mess up. I want to leave something behind that shows people a way that it's okay. I've screwed up a lot. There's been many instances in the tunnel that I've screwed up and I'm like, okay, well, this is worse now. How do we fix it?
Right.
So even if they don't want to pursue management, I've worked with a lot of team members that I just want to help them grow as an individual to have self-confidence.
On the surface, ranch sorting and leadership development don't seem to have much in common, but in Destiny's eyes, they do. Both require a firm attitude to guide Destiny's targets in the right direction. She's set up some standard practices to keep customers coming back, fueling the growth of Mammoth Holdings. But growing pains aren't easy, and the car wash industry is experiencing quite a bit of them. Join us on the next episode of Vehicle Care Rockstars to find out about Destiny's views on expansion and more in the car wash industry. All right, Destiny, we're going to play a little game called Bsides to get to know you better. I'm going to give you a series of choices, and you tell us which ones you prefer. Are you ready?
All right, hit me with it.
Okay, let's start with some general questions. Ohio or Kentucky?
Kentucky.
GMC Denali or Challenger Hemi?
Challenger Hemi.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs or horses?
I can't.
All right, well, I'm gonna make you choose a horse now. Black Beauty or Flicka?
Black Beauty.
Okay. Triple Crown winner American Pharoah or Justify?
American Pharoah.
Okay. What's your favorite horse breed?
Quarter horses.
Okay. Now, I know you spend a lot of time outdoors, so let's find out more about what you like to do. Horse racing or ranch sorting?
Ranch sorting.
Okay. What's your best time?
Oh, honestly, I don't remember. I think I've had a 40 in there somewhere, but I couldn't tell you the exact second.
Okay. Go to the beach or go fishing?
If it's the summer, I want to go to the beach. If we're in spring or fall, I want to go fishing.
Okay. I'll give you that. What's the biggest fish you've caught?
So I got a catfish, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it. Made somebody else take it off because I wasn't trying to catch the catfish. That was not my goal. But
I don't blame you, yeah.
So it was, I don't know the pounds because that's not what we were trying to go for, but I know it was about 2 feet long and I didn't want to touch it.
Okay, there you go. Camping or glamping?
Camping.
Camping, okay. Hunting game or fowl?
My boyfriend will probably hate it, but gaming.
Okay. What's your preferred rifle?
So I have a 243. So I deer hunt, so that's what I like to do. Like we have just dabbled into duck hunting, so, but I don't like go, and it's fun, but I like deer.
All right. What's the biggest game you've shot?
So a couple of years ago, I had an 8-point, and then I've been patient. It's probably the stubbornness and the challenge, but I won't shoot another one unless it's bigger than the other one, so I haven't actually gotten a buck in a couple of years because till it beats that, I don't want it.
Nice, 8-point is awesome. All right, now this is Vehicle Care Rockstars, so let's move on to your musical tastes. Rock or country?
Country.
All right, rap or pop?
Pop.
Pop or Christian?
Christian.
Okay. Three Doors Down or Puddle of Mud?
Puddle of Mud.
Luke Combs or Cody Johnson?
Cody Johnson.
T.I. or Nelly?
Nelly.
First concert you went to?
So that would have been, I know I wrote it down at once, but now I can't remember. What's that? I think it was Cody Johnson.
Okay. Last concert you went to?
So it was a Christian concert. So it was a blend.
Okay, nice. Best concert you went to?
Cody Johnson.
Nice. Well, Destiny, you're a rock star. Thanks so much.
Thank you.